In the year 2147, Earth was no longer alone. Humans had colonies on the Moon and Mars. They mined rocks for metals and built new homes in space. Life was hard, but hopeful. Then one night, everything changed. A huge alien fleet appeared above the colonies without any warning. The ships were dark and sharp, like knives floating in the black sky. No one on Earth had ever seen anything like them. The aliens called themselves the Krelliks. To them, humans were weak and useful only as workers. In less than one day, they attacked the mining outposts on Luna and Mars. The Krelliks moved fast. Their beams pulled thousands of people from their homes and work sites. Men, women, and children screamed as bright lights lifted them into the sky. Families were torn apart. Workers dropped their tools and ran, but there was nowhere to hide. In total, 50,000 humans vanished. The aliens took them all to a faraway prison planet deep inside their space. There, the captives would dig for rare minerals until they died. Back on Earth, people watched the news in shock. Screens showed empty streets on the colonies and burning buildings. Governments argued for hours. Some leaders wanted to beg for peace. Others wanted to pay anything to get the people back. But the United Terran Command said no. They would not bow. They would fight. The command looked at their best option. They could not send a big fleet. That would take too long and cost too many lives. The Krellik ships were stronger and faster. A large attack would fail. So they chose something different. Something small. Something impossible. They picked 10 soldiers. These were not normal troops. They were the best of the best. 8 men and 2 women. All had fought in hard battles before. On frozen moons, in zero gravity, against pirates and machines. They knew how to move quietly, strike fast, and never give up. He was calm and smart, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Ryan was his second in command. He was strong and quick to make decisions. Kevin knew explosives better than anyone. He could blow a hole in anything without making much noise. Brandon was the tech expert. He could break into enemy systems and turn their own machines against them. Nathan was the medic. He could save a life even when hope was gone. Tyler carried the heavy guns and never ran out of courage. Jacob was the sniper. He could hit a target from so far away that the enemy never saw him. Ethan was built for close fights. Fast hands, strong arms, no fear. Olivia moved like a shadow. She could slip into any place and disappear again. Sophia was the pilot and planner. She saw patterns others missed and could fly anything through the worst storms. They met in a secret base under the Rocky Mountains. No big speeches, no cameras, just a short message from the command. Bring our people home, or make sure no human stays in alien hands. They got one small stealth ship. It looked old and slow on purpose. That was the trick. The ship had a strange jump drive from the early days of space travel. It jumped in ways the Krelliks could not predict or track. The soldiers packed light, guns, tools, medical kits, and enough food for a long trip. They wore dark suits that changed color to match the ground or walls. Each person carried their favorite weapon. Daniel had his short rifle. Olivia preferred small blades and silent pistols. Tyler carried a big cannon that could punch through armor. They launched at night. No cheers, no flags. The ship slipped out of Earth orbit like a ghost. For days they traveled in silence. They ate cold meals and slept in turns. No one complained. They all knew what was at stake. Sophia flew the ship. She studied maps of Krellik space. She found weak spots in their patrols. She timed their arrival to match a big dust storm on the prison planet. The storm would hide their landing. It would also make alien sensors blind for a few hours. As they got closer, the team watched the planet on their screens. It was a dry, red world with tall prison walls and deep mining pits. Towers with guns stood everywhere. Thousands of Krelix guards walked the grounds. Drones flew in circles. The place looked impossible to break. Inside the prison, the 50,000 humans worked under hot suns. Energy whips cracked over their heads. Guards shouted in strange languages. The people were tired and hungry. Many had cuts and bruises, but they still talked in low voices when the guards were not looking. They told stories about Earth, about blue skies and green trees, about families waiting. They refused to forget who they were. The Krelix commander watched from his high tower. His name was Vexar. He was tall, with thick armor and glowing eyes. He laughed when his sensors picked up one tiny ship coming near. "A single human craft?" he said to his officers. "They send a toy to challenge us? Let it come. We will crush it and show the galaxy how weak these creatures are." He did not know the truth. The tiny ship carried no diplomats. It carried no army. It carried 10 humans who had made a promise. The stealth ship dropped into the atmosphere during the storm. Red dust filled the sky. Winds howled. Lightning flashed. Sophia guided the ship down into a deep canyon, far from the prison walls. The landing was soft. No one heard it. The team stepped out. They checked their weapons. They looked at each other and nodded. No words were needed. Daniel pointed toward the prison lights in the distance. They started walking. The storm covered their tracks. Their suits turned the color of the red sand. They moved fast and quiet. Olivia went ahead to scout. Jacob climbed a high rock to watch with his scope. The others followed in a tight line. They were 10 against a world, but they were human. The dust storm raged for hours. Red sand whipped across the canyon like angry waves. The 10 soldiers crouched low behind rocks. Their suits shifted color to match the ground. No one spoke much. They waited until the wind died down just enough to move. Sophia checked her small screen one last time. She nodded to Daniel. The storm had confused the alien sensors. It was time. Olivia slipped forward first. She was the smallest and quietest. Her boots made no sound on the loose sand. She carried a short tool that sent out tiny pulses. These pulses shut down small drones without alarms. She found the first patrol drone hovering near the canyon edge. One quick touch, and it dropped like a dead insect. Jacob climbed a tall rock spire. He set up his long rifle. The scope glowed softly in the dark. He scanned the prison walls 2 kilometers away. He counted guards on the towers. Those would die first if things went wrong. The rest of the team moved in a single line. Daniel led. Ryan stayed close behind him. Kevin carried the heavy packs of charges. Brandon held his hacking pad tight. Nathan checked medical supplies as he walked. Tyler had his big gun ready on his shoulder. Ethan kept his knives loose in their sheaths. They all breathed slow and steady. They reached the outer wall after an hour of careful walking. The wall was high and smooth, made of dark metal. Energy fences hummed along the top. Olivia pointed to a small service door half hidden by rocks. It was locked with a red light. Brandon knelt and connected his pad to the lock. Lines of green code ran across the screen. He whispered numbers and commands. After 2 minutes, the red light turned green. The door slid open with a soft hiss. No alarm sounded. They slipped inside one by one. The prison complex stretched out before them. Huge pits dug deep into the ground. Bright lights shone down on rows of humans working with picks and machines. Guards walked the paths between them. Tall Krelix in heavy armor carried whips that sparked with blue energy. Drones buzzed overhead like metal flies. The team split into pairs. Daniel and Ryan went left toward the nearest work pit. Olivia and Jacob moved right to find higher ground. Kevin and Brandon headed for a power station. Nathan, Tyler, Ethan, and Sophia stayed near the wall to guard the way out and watch for trouble. Daniel and Ryan crouched behind a stack of metal crates. They watched a group of 50 humans digging ore. The people looked thin and dirty. Their clothes were torn. A Krelix guard stood over them, cracking his whip every few minutes. One young man dropped his pick. The whip hit his back. He cried out but kept working. Daniel's jaw tightened. He looked at Ryan. Ryan nodded. They waited until the guard turned away. Then they moved. It clattered on the far side of the pit. The guard looked that way. Daniel stepped out fast. He grabbed the guard from behind. One hand over the mouth. The other drove a blade up under the armor. The guard went stiff, then limp. They dragged the body behind the crates. Ryan took the whip and the guard's small radio. He clipped it to his belt. They moved to the workers. The humans froze when they saw the two soldiers. Eyes wide, mouths open. A woman whispered, "Humans? Real humans?" Daniel spoke low and calm. "We're here to get you out. Stay quiet. Follow us when we say." He handed out small tools from his pack, short blades and heavy bars. The people took them with shaking hands. Some started to cry quietly. Others stood taller. Olivia found a vent high on a wall. She climbed inside like a cat. The vent led to the guard barracks. She crawled through dark tunnels until she reached a room full of sleeping Krelix. She placed tiny charges on the power lines. Not big enough to explode yet. Just enough to cut lights when needed. Jacob lay flat on a low hill inside the fence. His rifle rested on a bipod. He watched 3 towers. Guards stood in each one. He waited for the right moment. When one guard leaned out to look at the storm clouds, Jacob fired. The shot was silent. The guard dropped. The other 2 did not notice right away. Jacob took them out one after another. 3 soft puffs. 3 bodies down. Kevin and Brandon reached the power station. It was a big box of humming machines. Brandon plugged in again. He found the main control lines. He sent false signals. The screens showed normal work. But slowly, he turned off cameras in one section. Then another. Kevin set his charges. Small round packs stuck to weak points. Wires connected them. He set a timer for later. "When we need chaos," he said, "this will give it to us." Back at the first pit, Daniel's group had grown. More than 100 people now followed them. They moved in small groups, hiding behind machines and rocks. They freed another work crew, then another. Each time they killed a guard quietly. Each time they armed the humans. The freed people started to help. A strong miner named John took a guard's rifle. He showed others how to hold it. A woman named Maria found a medical kit on a dead guard. She passed bandages to Nathan when he joined them. Hours passed. The team worked like machines. No mistakes, no noise. By the time the first sun rose, more than 8,000 humans were out of the pits. They hid in tunnels and empty storage buildings. They waited for the next step. Sophia watched from a high point. She saw alien patrols moving faster. They had noticed some missing workers. Radios crackled. Guards shouted. But they did not know where to look yet. Daniel gathered his team in a dark corner. Dust still floated in the air. Eyes were bright. "We have 8,000 out," Daniel said. "We keep going, slow and quiet. No big fights yet." Ryan smiled a little. "They think we're a small problem. Let's stay small until we're too big to stop." Olivia wiped her knife clean. "I can get into the main control building tonight. Shut down more systems." Jacob checked his ammo. "I have clean lines on the gate towers. Say the word." Kevin patted his last charge pack. "Ready when you are." The team looked at each other. Tired but strong. They knew the real fight was coming. The Krelix would wake up soon. They would send more guards. They would turn on the big guns. But the humans inside the prison were waking up too. Whispers spread through the pits. Soldiers came. 10 of them. "They are taking us home." Hope grew like fire in dry grass. The 10 soldiers checked their weapons one more time. Then they moved deeper into the prison. The Krelix still laughed in their towers. They thought one small ship meant nothing. They were wrong. The second sun rose over the red prison planet. Thin light cut through the dust. Inside the prison, things had changed. More than 8,000 humans were already free. They hid in dark tunnels, empty storage rooms, and behind broken machines. They held weapons taken from dead guards. Their eyes looked different now. Not scared, angry, ready. The 10 soldiers moved fast but careful. They knew time was short. The Krelliks had started to notice. Missing workers, quiet guard posts, radios that went silent. Guards shouted more. Patrols doubled. Drones flew lower and faster. Sophia sat in a hidden corner with her small screen. She watched alien signals. She saw the pattern. The Krelliks were waking up. She turned to Daniel. They know something is wrong. They will lock everything down soon. We have maybe 2 hours. Daniel nodded. Then we use those 2 hours. Wake the rest. They split again. Smaller groups. Faster work. Olivia went back into the vents. She crawled through narrow metal tubes. Hot air pushed against her face. She reached the main power hub. She placed more tiny devices. These would cut lights and open doors when the time came. She whispered into her radio. Ready on my end. Jacob found a new high spot. A broken tower near the center pit. He lay flat, his rifle pointed down. He watched the biggest work area. Thousands of humans still dug there under bright lights. Guards walked among them. Whips cracked. Jacob picked his targets. The ones with radios. The ones who looked like leaders. He waited. Kevin and Brandon worked together again. They reached a control room, high above the pits. Brandon hacked deeper this time. He found the main security system. He changed codes. He made false alarms in other parts of the prison. Guards ran to empty halls. They left their posts. Kevin set bigger charges. These would bring down walls and bridges. For the big moment, he said. Daniel, Ryan, Tyler, Ethan, and Nathan moved through the lower levels. They freed more groups, one by one, quietly. A family of 4, a team of miners, an old man who could barely walk. Nathan helped him, gave him water. The old man grabbed Daniel's arm. Thank you, he said with tears. We thought no one was coming. Daniel looked at him. We always come. The humans started to organize themselves. They formed small teams. They passed weapons. They shared food from guard packs. They told each other stories in low voices. 10 soldiers. Just 10. They move like ghosts. Word spread fast. In every pit, in every dark corner, people whispered the same thing. They are here. They are real. Hold on. Then it happened. A loud siren screamed across the prison. Red lights flashed. The Krelliks had found too many empty spots. They locked down sections. Big metal doors slammed shut. Guards poured out of barracks. Thousands of them. Armored, angry. They carried heavy rifles and energy shields. Vexar, the commander, stood in his high tower. He looked at screens showing empty work lines. His glowing eyes narrowed. Primitives, he growled. They dare fight back? Send the legions. Crush them all. Drones swarmed. Armored walkers stomped forward. The prison turned into a war zone. But the humans were ready. Sophia's voice came over the radio. Now. She hit a command. Lights died in half the prison. Darkness fell like a blanket. Guards stopped, confused. Then doors opened where they should have stayed closed. Turrets turned. They fired on their own troops. Chaos started. In the main pit, humans rose. They had tools. They had rifles. They had anger built up for months. They charged the guards. Picks swung. Blades flashed. A young woman named Lisa grabbed a whip from a fallen guard. The guard fell screaming. Jacob fired from his tower. 1 shot. 2, 3. Guards dropped. Clean, fast, no waste. Tyler stood tall in the center. His big gun roared. It punched through armor like paper. He laughed once. "Come on," he shouted. Humans cheered around him. Ethan moved like lightning. He jumped on a guard. Knife in, out, next one. He cleared a path for more people to escape. Daniel and Ryan fought side by side. They pushed forward. They shot guards. They pulled humans out of the line of fire. Ryan took a hit to his shoulder, a burn from an energy bolt. He kept going. "Not today," he said through teeth. Nathan ran between groups. He patched wounds. He gave shots for pain. He dragged a boy to safety when a drone exploded nearby. Kevin waited. His charges were set. He watched the big bridge that connected the pits to the command area. When a line of armored Krelliks crossed it, he pressed the button. The bridge shook. Metals screamed. Guards tumbled into the deep pit below. Olivia appeared from a side tunnel. She had shut down the drone control. Hundreds of drones crashed to the ground. Sparks flew. Humans cheered louder. The Krelliks' lines broke. They were not ready for this. They thought humans were weak, soft, easy to control. But these humans fought like they had nothing left to lose, and they had everything to gain. More prisoners joined the fight. Thousands now. They took guard stations. They climbed towers. They turned alien guns on their masters. The prison became a storm of noise and light. Explosions, shouts, the sound of metal hitting flesh. Vexar watched from his tower. His officers ran around him. "Impossible," one said. "They are primitives." Vexar slammed his fist on the table. "They are vermin. Send everything. Kill them all." But it was too late. The 10 soldiers met in the middle of the chaos. They stood back to back for a moment, breathing hard, covered in dust and blood. Not all theirs. Daniel looked around, saw the humans fighting, saw them winning. He spoke into his radio. "We have them. The awakening is here." Ryan wiped sweat from his face. "They're not just following us anymore. They're leading." Tyler grinned. "Good, more hands on deck." Sophia's voice came again. "Shields are down in sectors 3 and 4. We can move to the command spire soon." Daniel nodded. "Then that's next. We take the head." The humans kept pushing. They drove the Krelliks back, step by step, pit by pit. The guards who once cracked whips now ran. Some dropped their weapons. Some begged in their strange language. No one listened. In one corner, a group of freed miners found Vexar's personal guard. They fought hard. They won. They took the guard's heavy armor and used it against the rest. The prison was burning now. Fires from explosions. Smoke rose thick and black. The red sky turned darker. The Krelliks had thought they captured easy slaves. They had captured a sleeping giant, and the giant had woken up. The 10 soldiers moved forward again, toward the tall spire in the center, toward the end. They were tired, wounded, but they did not stop, because home was waiting, and no one gets left behind. The prison burned under the red sky. Smoke rose in thick black columns. Explosions echoed from every direction. The humans had taken most of the outer areas. They held the pits, the barracks, and the landing fields. Thousands of freed people now fought like soldiers. They used captured rifles. They threw rocks and tools. They shouted old Earth songs to keep their courage high. The 10 soldiers pushed toward the center. The tall command spire stood like a dark needle in the middle of the chaos. That was where Vexar waited, the warlord who had ordered the abduction, the one who thought humans were nothing. Daniel led the way. His team moved in a tight group. Ryan covered the left side. Tyler swept the right with his heavy gun. Ethan stayed close for close fights. Olivia slipped ahead to scout paths. Jacob climbed ruined walls to find shooting spots. Kevin carried his last charges. Brandon kept the hacked systems running. Nathan patched wounds on the run. Sophia guided them with her screen. showing safe routes through the smoke. They reached the base of the spire. Big metal doors blocked the way. Guards stood in front, tall Krelliks in thick armor. They fired energy bolts that cracked the air. The soldiers took cover behind fallen beams. Tyler stepped out. His gun boomed. One guard flew back. Another lost an arm. The rest ducked. Olivia threw a small grenade from the side. It exploded in blue fire. The doors cracked open. They rushed inside. The inside of the spire was cold and bright. White lights, smooth walls. Screens showed the battle outside. Krelliks officers ran back and forth. They shouted orders. Some tried to call for help from space. Brandon smiled. He had already cut those lines. Daniel pointed up. Elevator to the top. We end this. They fought floor by floor. Guards came down the stairs. Energy blades glowed. The soldiers answered with bullets and blades. Ethan met one guard head-on. He dodged the blade, grabbed the arm, twisted, broke it, then drove his knife home. Tyler blasted another group from the stairs. Shells rang loud in the tight space. Jacob stayed low. He picked off officers through windows. Each shot perfect. Bodies fell without a sound. They reached the upper levels. Fewer guards now. More officers. These ones wore fancy armor with gold lines. They fought hard. One big Krelliks charged Daniel. Daniel rolled aside, shot twice into the knee joints. The alien fell. Ryan finished it with a burst to the head. At last they came to the throne room. The doors were wide open. Vexar stood in the center. He was huge, taller than any human. His armor shone black and red. A long energy blade hummed in his hand. A personal shield glowed around him like blue glass. Behind him, big screens showed the prison falling. His glowing eyes locked on the 10 soldiers. He laughed. The sound was deep and rough. 10, he said, in broken human speech. You send 10. And you think you win? You are insects. I will crush you and keep your people forever. Daniel stepped forward. We don't ask. We take. Vexar raised his blade. Then come. The fight began. Ethan and Tyler charged first. They drew the attention. Tyler fired his gun. Bolts hit the shield. Sparks flew. Ethan threw knives. They bounced off. Vexar swung his blade. It cut the air with a hiss. Tyler jumped back. Ethan rolled under the swing. Olivia moved fast. She circled to the side. She looked for the shield generator on Vexar's belt. She had seen it in hacked files. A small box with blinking lights. Jacob fired from the door. His shot hit Vexar's shoulder. The shield flared. No damage, but it made Vexar turn. Daniel and Ryan advanced straight. They shot at the shield, kept it busy. Kevin threw a small charge. It stuck to the floor near Vexar's feet. He stepped back. The charge exploded, just enough to shake him. Nathan stayed back. He watched for anyone hurt. He had a rifle ready if needed. Sophia and Brandon worked together. Brandon hacked the room controls. Lights flickered. Doors locked. Vexar growled. He swung wide. His blade cut a screen in half. Sparks rained. Olivia reached the side. She slid low, close to Vexar. She pressed her tool against the shield box. A spark. A beep. The blue glow died. Vexar felt it. His eyes widened. No. Tyler roared. He charged again, his gun empty now. He used it like a club. Smashed it against Vexar's arm. The alien staggered. Ethan jumped on the back, knife in the neck joint. Vexar roared in pain. Daniel stepped close. He raised his rifle, point blank. For the 50,000, he said. He fired. The shot went through Vexar's chest. The warlord fell to his knees. Blood, black and thick, poured out. He looked up at Daniel. How primitives. We're not primitives. We're human. Vexar fell forward, dead. The room went quiet. Only the sound of fire outside. The screens showed Krellick's troops running. Some dropped weapons. Others tried to flee to ships. But the humans had taken the landing fields. Brandon smiled. Shields down. Our corvette can land right here. Sophia spoke into her radio. Extraction now. Bring the ships in. Outside, the humans cheered. They saw the spire lights go dark. They knew what it meant. The head was cut off. The body would fall. The team walked out. They stood on a high balcony. Below them, thousands of humans looked up. Tired faces, dirty faces, but smiling. Some cried. Some raised fists. They chanted one word over and over. Home. The corvette descended through the smoke. Its engines hummed soft. It landed in the center square. Doors opened. The soldiers waved people in. Small groups first. Children, wounded, families. But the team did not board yet. Daniel turned to his 9. We stay until the last one is out. They nodded. They helped load the wounded. They carried stretchers. They guided old people up ramps. They watched the skies for any last Krellick ships. None came. The enemy had broken. Hours passed. Wave after wave of humans boarded stolen ships and the corvette. Over 49,000 were safe. Only a few hundred left, the ones too hurt to move fast. Nathan treated the last cases. He worked without rest. Tyler carried people on his back when they could not walk. Ethan stood guard. Olivia scouted for stragglers. At last, the final shuttle lifted off. The corvette took the last group. The 10 soldiers climbed aboard. Daniel was the last one in. He looked back at the burning prison, at the red world that had held so many. He closed the door. The ship rose. It joined the fleet of stolen ships. They jumped together. One big jump toward home. Inside the corvette, the soldiers sat quiet. Wounds hurt, bodies tired, but their eyes were clear. Ryan spoke first. We did it. Daniel nodded. We brought them home. No one said more. Words were not needed. The galaxy would remember this day. 10 humans, one impossible mission. They had broken an empire's pride. And somewhere in the stars, a new story began. Humans do not break easy, and they never leave family behind. The stolen ships rose from the burning prison planet like a flock of birds escaping a fire. Engines glowed bright against the dark red sky. One by one they broke through the thin clouds. They formed a loose line in space. The corvette flew at the front. Inside it, the 10 soldiers sat quiet. Their suits were torn, faces dirty with dust and sweat. Some had fresh bandages. None spoke for a long time. Sophia flew the ship. She checked the jump drive. The old human tech hummed steady. It would carry them far in one leap. She looked back at the others. Everyone ready? Daniel nodded. Jump when you can. The fleet followed close. Cargo ships, small fighters, even big mining haulers the humans had taken from the landing fields. Over 49,000 people filled them. Families held each other tight. Children pressed faces to windows. Old people closed their eyes and whispered thanks. Wounded lay on stretchers. Medics from the freed groups worked without stop. The prison world shrank behind them. Flames still licked the towers. Smoke trailed into space. The Krellick's base was gone. Their commander dead. Their guards scattered or dead. The empire that thought it could take humans like cattle had learned a hard lesson. Sophia counted down. 3, 2, 1, jump. The stars stretched. Colors twisted. Then everything snapped back. The fleet appeared in safe space, far from Krellick's reach, close to Earth territory. Cheers filled every ship. Loud, raw, happy. People hugged strangers. Tears fell. Someone started singing an old song about home. Others joined. The sound carried over open comms. The soldiers listened. They smiled small smiles. Daniel stood up. He walked to the back. He checked on the wounded. A girl no older than 10 looked up at him, her arm in a sling. "Are we going home?" she asked. He knelt. "Yes, we are. Thank you, Mr. Soldier." He touched her shoulder gently. Then he went back to his seat. The Corvette docked with a bigger ship for more room. The team moved to help unload. They carried stretchers. They passed water bottles. They listened to stories. A miner told them how he kept hope by thinking of his wife on Earth. A mother said she sang lullabies to her baby every night in the pits. The soldiers said little. They just listened. Nathan worked longest. He treated burns, broken bones, cuts from whips. He did not stop until every last person was seen. When he finished, he sat on the floor, back against the wall, eyes closed. Tyler sat next to him. "You good?" Nathan opened one eye. "Tired, but good." Kevin laughed soft. "We all are." They flew for days. The fleet moved careful, avoiding patrols, staying in quiet lanes. Earth sent welcome ships to meet them. When the first Earth ship appeared on screens, the cheering started again, louder this time. The Corvette landed last. It touched down on a quiet base in the mountains. No crowds, no cameras, just a few officers waiting. The 10 soldiers stepped out. They walked slow, bodies sore, minds heavy. One officer stepped forward. "Welcome home." Daniel shook his hand. "We brought most of them." The officer looked at the ships still landing in the distance. "You brought all that matter. The rest are safe. We have reports. The Krelliks are pulling back. No more raids. They are scared." Ryan gave a short laugh. "Good. No big ceremony. No medals pinned on chests. The command knew better. These 10 did not want lights and speeches. They wanted rest and quiet." They went to a small room. Simple beds. Hot food waiting. They ate in silence at first. Then words came slow. Olivia spoke. "I keep seeing their faces. The ones who grabbed our hands when we freed them." Jacob nodded. "Me too. That old man who said he never thought he'd see stars again." Tyler leaned back. "We did what we said we'd do." Ethan cleaned his knife. "And we'd do it again." Sophia smiled tired. "Next time maybe they send 20. Brandon laughed. "Or we volunteer for 10 again." Daniel looked at each of them. "We lost none of our own. That's the win." They raised water cups. No toast, just a quiet nod. Outside, the story spread. Not from news, from the people who came back. Families told neighbors. Workers told friends. Children told classmates. 10 soldiers came. Just 10. They walked into hell and brought us out. The tale grew. People added details. Some said the soldiers fought like lions. Others said they never raised their voices. All agreed on one thing. Humans do not leave their own. On distant worlds, aliens heard the story too. Traders in space stations. Diplomats in neutral zones. They whispered about the prison planet. About the warlord who died by human hand. About a fleet of stolen ships that vanished into jump space. The Krelliks' name lost respect. Other species took note. Do not touch humans. They bite back, hard. Years later, some of the 10 stayed in service. Others left. Daniel taught new recruits, quiet lessons about will and family. Ryan opened a small farm on a green moon. Kevin built safe houses for scouts. Brandon taught kids how to code. Nathan worked in hospitals. Tyler trained heavy gunners. Jacob hunted in wild places. Olivia vanished into shadows for special jobs. Ethan opened a bar where old soldiers drank free. Sophia flew cargo runs. She always took the long way home. They rarely talked about that mission. Simple words. We went in 10. We came out 10. And we brought everyone else with us. One night, years after, Daniel sat alone on a hill, stars bright above. He thought of the red planet, the smoke, the cheers. He thought of the girl with the sling, who asked if they were going home. He looked up, smiled small. Somewhere out there, 50,000 people lived normal lives, because 10 refused to let them go. The galaxy is big, cold, full of dangers, but humans learned something that day. Send an army, and they fight. Send 10 who care, and they win.